All right, so we're here with the hose bibs we put in. There's 6 of these. Last summer, the water was not enough pressure to get all the different stations in the garden. It was really hot. So stay tuned and we'll show you how to put some water down on the garden. All right, a couple of things before we get started. We rented this trencher from Home Depot. Always remember your PPE and to call before you dig. We did our call for cable locate about a couple of months prior to taking on this project. So here we're trenching out for our PEX water lines, and it's a slow start here. Locator found everything, but there was a plow disc from the previous occupants here that got stuck right there in the beginning of the trench. And then once we got past that, it was pretty smooth sailing. Right here you'll see the trencher start bouncing pretty good. There's a pretty good pocket of rock right in this area. Used to be part of that driveway that went back a little further. Alright, while we're watching this trenching here, if you would take a minute to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out the channel here and lets us make more videos for you guys. Alright, to the right of the trencher here, kind of where I'm angling out at, you'll see a little bit later in the video, I'm going around a stump here. Alright, as I'm trenching here, you'll notice this greenhouse is kind of a work in progress, and then later on the video you'll see that it just miraculously changed shape into a completed greenhouse. That's another video for another day. So these trenchers are self-propelled. It's really a little bit of a challenge to get around these curves as you start going backwards and doing your trench. You really got to lean into these machines. You'll notice that the trenching just kind of cuts over to making a manifold. We had a camera die here, so we had to switch into a later video. Here's for the fun part, making up the manifold that controls the water. What I did here was used a couple of gate valves and then allowed for a blowout for during the winter time to be able to hook up an air compressor and clear out the line so we don't have any freezing. Here I'm plumbing everything in, getting the PVC to PEX transition glued up, and then starting in on the crimps for the gate valves. Vevor pegs for the price was a great investment. Was a little stiff to work with at first, so you'll see us stretching it out here and then trying to get it down into the trench and buried. Here, so you're going to see a transition over to the finished product and the finished greenhouse. So walking down through here, off to the right we have one hose bib. We have a hydrant style frost free on the greenhouse. Everything's all covered up, nice and neat here. There's our frost free that I was talking about. There's another hose bib. Got one more on the corner here. One there on the far corner. And then since we had the trencher, we decided to carry one down here to the corn patch. All in all, this totaled about 300 feet of pipe and some fittings.